Chapter 718, Another Warning. Lumion and Anthony only had to wait briefly before the ministers began exiting the pavilion of pleasure one by one. They quickly approached Morin Avigny, the Minister of Industry. While listening to the other reporters' questions, they employed their unique abilities to observe him closely. After just over 10 seconds, Lumion turned to Anthony and gave a small shake of his head, indicating that, for now, there was nothing unusual about Morin's River of Fate. He trusted that Anthony, being a spectator, would understand his unspoken message. Anthony responded with a slight head shake of his own, confirming to Lumion that Morin Avigny's expression and behavior appeared normal. Has the overseer directly responsible for Jebus not reached out to Morin Avigny, or could our assumption be incorrect? Is it possible that Jebus's death wasn't detected by the overseer's monitoring? Have they not fully grasped the situation with Jebus? These thoughts raced through Lumion's mind as he continued his observation. This was precisely why he had come in person to the Pavilion of Pleasure, to await Morin Avigny's appearance. Only by acquiring the most current and reliable information could he assess whether to move forward with the original plan, adjust it, or temporarily set it aside. Indeed, within Morin Avigny's River of Fate, a tributary of him entering the full-body mirror in the study still exists. Shrouded in an intense black hue, Lumion, unconcerned about the drain on his spirituality, maintained his focus on any potential shifts in Morin Avigny's destiny. Following a short interview, the debonair Minister of Industry, flanked by his bodyguards, descended the steps of the Pavilion of Pleasure and headed towards his stylish four-seater carriage. As the valet opened the carriage door, Morin Avigny pulled out a small hand mirror from his pocket, seemingly checking his appearance. In Trier's high society, this was a typical occurrence. Men's cosmetics and grooming had long been in vogue. Morin Avigny peered into the hand mirror, his dark gray pupils abruptly widening as his expression subtly changed. Nearly simultaneously, Lumion, with his silver-black eyes, detected a notable alteration in the Minister of Industry's Fate tributary. None of the tributaries suggested Morin Avigny's entry into the study's full-body mirror. All relevant choices had vanished. As a result, even if Lumion depleted nearly half of his spirituality and employed compelling fate, he would be unable to force Morin Avigny to willingly enter the study's full-body mirror. Compelling fate wasn't about creating destiny. Choices had to exist before they could be compelled. Taking advantage of the moment when the reporters had shifted their focus and the two of them were slowly trailing behind, Anthony quietly said to Lumion. When Morin Avigny looked at himself in the hand mirror, he experienced a palpable sense of fear. As Lumion followed the other reporters, he continued to assess Morin Avigny and formed a related hypothesis. Someone was utilizing the mirror world and the hand mirror to convey a message to Morin Avigny. The transmitted information likely pertained to the mysterious demise of Jebus Lada, who was tasked with guarding the study's full-body mirror and the disappearance of his body. For Morin Avigny, this implied that someone was conspiring against him. The shadow was already looming over him, its source and circumstances unknown. Under such conditions, fear was inevitable. For the majority of people, emotions would inevitably manifest to some degree in their facial expressions and physical movements, making them readily apparent to spectators. Yes, given that Jebus possessed a mirror cufflink, it's reasonable to assume that the overseer above him would have comparable items. They might even possess the additional capability to communicate via the mirror world, Lumion recalled, thinking of the glass cufflink now in Franca's possession. Moreover, Jebus had disclosed that Morin Avigny had instructed the other mirror people from the Tamara family to assume new identities and relocate, leaving him as the sole contact with the School of Truth. Consequently, when the overseer discovered Jebus's unexplained disappearance and ultimate death, they would be unable to reach the other mirror people. They could only await the conclusion of Morin Avigny's ministerial meeting to send him a warning. Our prior conjectures have been validated. The overseer did indeed detected Jebus's death. Whether the overseer was limited by his abilities or hindered by the primordial demoness figurine is uncertain, but he was unable to immediately locate us and launch a counterattack. We must abandon the original plan. Getting Morin Avigny to, willingly, enter the study's full-body mirror is no longer feasible. Lost in thought, Lumion watched as Morin Avigny tucked away the hand mirror, boarded the carriage, and headed home. Taking advantage of the still, somewhat chaotic scene, he and Anthony discreetly left the Pavilion of Pleasure. At the periphery of a square adorned with statues and obelisks, Lumion scanned his surroundings. Confirming that no one was nearby, he murmured to Anthony, "What do you think frightened Morin Avigny?" He had already shared his theory with Anthony. Drawing on his spectator perspective, Anthony endeavored to analyze the psychological states of the School of Truth and Morin Avigny. Without intel on the enemy, it's improbable that the School of Truth, a secret organization worshipping an evil deity, would dispatch additional demigod-level operatives to Morin Avigny's proximity to enhance protection for the Mirror People. Unlike an Orthodox church, they can't afford to act rashly and perpetually escalate their involvement. They must consider the possibility that the group that apprehended Jebus is equally formidable, potentially including a demigod in their ranks. They might even suspect that this could be a covert mission orchestrated by the Purifier, Machinery Hivemind, or an elite unit from Bureau 8. In essence, the Overseer will convey to Morin Avigny that he's now on his own. They'll offer indirect support, but can't intervene directly. Other cults might react with insanity, extremism, and irrationality while still defending Morin Avigny. However, based on Jebus's ideology, the School of Truth will refrain from such actions. That explains why Morin Avigny couldn't conceal his fear. It's tantamount to being forsaken. Lumion gently nodded. Anthony continued his analysis. We must also take into account Morin Avigny's unique characteristic as a mirror person. The Mirror People we've previously encountered not only pursued their own ambitions, but also exhibited a certain zealotry towards their leader and overarching objectives. Based on my observations, while Morin Avigny is undeniably terrified, he managed to exercise some restraint. Upon entering the carriage, he appeared resolute and determined. Lumion comprehended and remarked, "Is he contemplating self-sacrifice? He'll promptly alert the other Mirror People and urge them to swiftly conceal themselves. As for himself, he's under the strict protection of officials, rendering escape impossible. His only option is to remain in place, visible to the enemy faction, hoping that his fortune is sufficient and the official protection proves effective." In times like these, protection becomes another form of confinement. Anthony shifted the topic. Which tributary turned black following the change in Morin Avigny's fate? Lumion shook his head. Nothing at present. This is an exceptionally unique situation. It signifies that it will manifest only when Morin Avigny makes a new choice, branching into a new fate tributary. At this juncture, Lumion exhaled slowly and stated, "I don't perceive any other opportunities at the moment. It would have been good if the Overseer had acted rashly and protected Morin Avigny. The Demoness of Black should be awaiting him. Let's locate Jenna and Franca first." In the quarry cave housing a permanent entrance to the mirror world, Franca, who had been patiently waiting, witnessed Black Hair reemerge from the mirror, descending strand by strand. Demoness of Black Claris materialized and spoke softly. Currently, no Beyonders are concealed behind the relevant mirror. They must have abandoned Morin Avigny. I'm unable to provide assistance at this time. You must reevaluate your strategy and devise a means to capture Morin Avigny, who is under the robust protection of official Beyonders, without entering the mirror world. Do you have a solution in mind? Franca wished to inquire but refrained out of concern for offending the Demoness of Black. Instead, she simply replied, "Understood." In a secure safe house within the administrative district, Jenna informed Lumion and Anthony, "Madame Judgment has instructed us to halt further action for now. She needs to confer with the other major arcana card holders regarding the information obtained from Jebus." With Ma'am Hermit, Lumion pondered silently, immersed in thought. He gave a small nod and said, "Let's go find Franca." After rendezvousing with Franca in the subterranean quarry cave and sharing their discoveries, Lumion sighed and declared, "For the time being, We have no choice but to abandon our efforts. As Franca and the others nodded in agreement, Lumion suddenly heard a resounding voice. Don't you believe you're capitulating prematurely? Did you fail to notice any issues? Termaburose, why is he offering me guidance? And it's not an urgent matter that threatens him. Lumion couldn't help but furrow his brow. Termaburose's profound voice persisted. Consider this. If you were an overseer, what actions would you take in such a scenario? Naturally, they would reduce personnel and conceal themselves to prevent the enemy from discovering clues and pursuing them. Lumion muttered under his breath. Beyond this, what else can they do? How can they indirectly aid Morin Avigny? Franca, Jenna, and Anthony observed Lumion as he mumbled to himself, awaiting his ultimate explanation. Abruptly, a possibility occurred to Lumion. He gazed at his three companions and said in a low, serious tone, under-the-table transaction. Safeguard Morin Avigny through a high-level under-the-table transaction. That's why we each abandoned the plan for distinct reasons. Even the River of Fate currently shows no death calamity for Morin Avigny.